Let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Mang Liaoming. Homage to Master Sakya Tsongkhong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Thupten Tarji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. And homage to the main deity of the good practice today, the greatly loving and compassionate Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, Sumu, Tanchen Gyatso, Thupten Siddhi, Thupten Kama, all Dhamma masters, Dhamma lecturers, Dhamma teachers, Dhamma instructors, Dhamma tutors, temple and center directors, and all disciples present here and over the internet. Good evening. How do you do?
Hola amigo. Que quiero mucho. Sugoi. Ichiwa. Kimochi ii. Yumi. Yapi. Purin purin. Konbanwa.
Let's do the Q&A first. A question from Indonesia by Lianhua Zhenfu. Some relatives believe that during the Qingming festival, descendants who do not visit ancestral graves, columbarium, or the seashore are considered unfilial. Although I always dedicate the merit and register ancestors for bardo ceremonies, do we need to visit the ancestors' graves, columbarium, or the seashore to be considered filial? That's his first question. Second question, after a person passes away, if they are buried at sea or for other reasons do not have a tablet enshrined at the Siddhigarbha hall or at home, or no memorial tablet anywhere, will this negatively affect the deceased soul? That's the second question. I find the first question like the Qingming festival or tomb sweeping festival. We would visit graves or columbarium. If we don't go, that's unfilial. That's difficult to say. Whether you're filial filial piety should be done when they're still alive.
你活着的时候不孝顺，
But
等
if
死后再一直拜，
you don't perform filial piety while they're alive, but after they pass away, you
我觉得也不对。
always
这个
pray to them, that's also not right. So this is all depending on the mind, whether you're filial or not, you know.
不用问我，
There's no need to ask me.
这个祖先呢，像我自己的祖先，
Like for ancestors, like my own ancestors, my great-grandfather,
知道曾祖父的名字，
that's all I
上去
know.
我就不懂，
Then above him, I
上去不懂，
don't know their
是不是不孝
name.
顺吗？
So does it mean I'm unfilial?
没有
No,
人告诉我，
because nobody told me.
我只有懂得曾祖
I
父，
only know my great-grandfather's name, Lu Jie,
他就福建
and he's in Fanyang,
福建范阳，
Fujian province,
福建
China.
范阳，又是从河北范
And
阳
the Fanyang
到福建范
Fujian
阳，
is from Fanyang, Hebei
Fanyang.
province.
然后到了澎湖范阳，
So he's
澎
from
湖有一个
Fanyang,
儒家
Fujian
的庙，
to Penghu,
在
Fanyang in Penghu.
是我表哥盖的
And there is a Lu clan ancestral
塞书，
home that was built by my
叫
cousin
塞书，须臾岛，现在跨海
in
大桥
Penghu Island called Saisu.
须臾岛，
So now you can just cross the bridge from the Taiwan
是
island.
我表哥卢超宏，
So the Lu ancestral home was built by my
然后
elder cousin Lu Chaohong.
这个卢德杰，我的祖父
So Lu Jie, and then to my grandfather Lu Chang,
父亲
and my
是
father Lu Ersun.
卢尔孙下来就是我，
And then after that myself.
那我父亲呢，是
So my father,
灵骨是放在台湾雷藏寺，
he is tablet, memorial tablet is placed at the columbarium at the Taiwan temple, and my mother is at the columbarium at the Rainbow temple.
难道我要
So for Qingming festival,
然后去完
going to Rainbow temple is
回台湾
closer,
吗？
and then do I have to fly back to Taiwan?
你不能两个地方跑啊，
You cannot go to both.
对祖先尊敬，这是由自己的心。
Respect toward ancestors
我在
comes
中
from
国
our
里
own heart or mind.
面有供
At my
祖先的
tantric
牌位，祖先的牌位
quarters, I enshrine my ancestors' tablet, but not at the South Mountain retreat, the Nansan, but only at the Tribhuda tantric quarters.
你常去，就算是
So
母亲的名旦或者怎么样的，我们是从心里尊敬，
So we
心
have
理上
our respect in our heart and mind toward our father and
还
mother.
是很恭敬。我在说法当中，虽然我母亲，我提到我母亲，有时候
In my Dharma teaching, sometimes I mention my mother,
尤其是
and
唱那一条
sometimes I would be very touched and cried, shed tears, especially when I sing
美丽的天空里，
in the beautiful, beautiful
出现了
sky.
闪亮的笑
There appear the sparkling, bright
好像
little
是
stars.
我妈妈的慈
They
爱
look
的
like
眼
the eyes of my loving mother.
妈妈的眼睛
My
我
mother's
最
eyes
喜爱
I love
长
most.
长的叫我做
who often teaches me to be a good child. I love my mother's eyes the most. So singing this song, when you touch your own heart, then you would shed tears. Sometimes halfway through the song, you choked up because you're nostalgic. But when I sing that song about Dad, I never cried. Because I've been beaten up by my dad ever since a kid until adult. But till now, I would still say, without my father, there would not be me. Without a father, there would not be you. If there is no support, financial support from the father, you will not grow up. Although he didn't think that I was his child, when my dad passed away, in his will he wrote the 4 sisters, so his inheritance was divided into 5 parts. 4 parts to my 4 sisters and 1 part to his caretaker, Xiao Zhang. But as for myself, Sun Yan Lu is in America and he has money, no need, nothing for him. My mother's inheritance, I give up my portion to my younger sisters. I signed a release of inheritance. But my father regarded me because when he married my mother, 7 months later I was born, so that was prematurely. My mother said that was a premature birth, but my father did not buy that. And he was enraged and went to see my mother's mother and fought with her, argued with her, and finally she died out of anger. When I was born, he did not want me, the baby, and give me to the maternal grandmother. And after she passed away, my mother asked her sister to take care of me. Her name is Huang Xiehua, the mother of Xi Xinghui. And then, when my aunt was about to get married, she told my mother, I can't go getting married, carrying your child. So I was returned home. Then the suffering started. Until I was 19, when I left home to study in the military school. Finally, I spread my wings and fly on my own. That's my life. So toward my ancestors, I have respect in my heart mind. Toward my father too, I respect him. Why? Because without him, there would not be you. How did you grow up?
你还是吃父亲的饭长大。
You ate food provided by him.
再怎么样子讲，
No
我
matter
在
what,
初中、高中、
when I
暑
was
假
in junior
全部
and
在外
senior
面
high
打工。
school, I work outside.
没有凭我父亲的力量，我也没有办法。
And without his support, I would not be able to
我
do
对
it.
花莲有感情，
So
因为高中的时
I'm
候，
nostalgic to
寒暑假
Hualien
我一定在花
because summer and winter
花莲
vacation,
中山路
I
电表
always
检验站
went to
在那里工
Hualien
作，因为我阿
at
姨
the
是那里的耶路科长，然后在修
factory,
理工厂做事，
meter factory,
是
because my
我姨父
uncle, my aunt's husband, is a
修
director.
理工厂做事。
And then
另外，
in the
在
repair shop too.
高雄
I work in the
南部火
repair
业
shop.
发电厂做事，是因
And
为
I
我父
also
亲
work at the Kaohsiung Power Company. That's
我
because of
父
my
亲在
father,
电力公司里面承装部，
because he's also a leader in the Kaohsiung Power Company.
我到那个南部火力发电厂做事，
So I work
在
at the Southern Power Company.
在承装部做事，都是靠我父亲跟我姨父。
So I could work because of my father and my uncle. So I'm still grateful to them no matter what.
都是要感谢，
You have to be thankful,
对你好，对你坏，
whether
总是受
they
你长辈
treat you nicely or not. They're your senior.
尊敬就可以。
So it's good enough if you have respect in your heart or mind.
要舍鱼
You
啊
don't
灯啊
have to
那些
show
红场啊，
lighting incense, making dumplings, and going to the graveyards.
现在年轻人也没有了。
Nowadays, the youngsters don't do it either.
佛祈佛经，
Say for Qi and for Qing,
自己的父母都很顺从，很好。
they obey their parents, so that's filial piety.
至于下一代，这个卢洪、
But the next generation, such as Lu Hong, Lu Jun, and the 2-year-old Alice, Lu Yin,
我看以后不可能再有什么牌位了。
I think it would be impossible to
他们
expect
在美
them
国，
to set up the
美国还
memorial
流行什么
tablets.
牌位算了，
They live in America. That's not
对不对？
common
只
here.
要他有时候回来看看阿公阿嬷就行。
It's good enough that they come and see the grandpa, grandma.
这个事情呢，完全是心。你
So
心里有没
it's
有孝
all
顺？
in the heart and in the
问你
mind.
自己就好了。
Whether you have filial piety or not, you ask yourself. It's
你以为
not
你插了花，他会出来看
on
花
the external
你以为摆了东西他会出来
external
吃啊
actions, external deeds. You think that
那
they
水果
would
人知道
see
又到
you
轮
give
回
them
不知道轮回到
flowers
哪里
or
去了你能够帮他超度已经很好了。你还
they have been
替人
reincarnated to
帮他超
who
度
you don't
就是
even know
孝顺
where. So it's good enough that you help them to be
否则
able to
我们在
deliver.
西方
That's filial piety already.
有些他们
Otherwise, in the
离
West,
开家很远，
they
哪
have
里能够这样子？
moved to faraway places. How could you?
当然也有，
How could
也有
you
很
rush
也有
there
很孝
and
顺
here?
的，也有
And of course, there's some that are
西方
truly
这一套
filial.
就是在坟头插个花，
And most Westerners, they
那
just
西方
put
人
the
像
flower at
那
the
你们华
graveyard.
人怎么搞的？
And the Westerners would say, what's
大
going
碗
on
小
with
碗
Chinese?
青菜吃
With all these
大杯
bowls of
把汤
food,
圆就摆在那个
dumplings,
坟头
and
他会
place
吃
it at
会出
the
来吃
tomb.
吗？
Would
那
they
你也
actually
笑
come
话
out and eat? So the same, we can joke about them too. You think that they could see the flower that you bring to the tombstone, to the tomb. So everything is in the mind. Everything is created by the mind. And Buddhism states that everything is created by the mind. Are you filial in your heart mind? You would know yourself. Why are you asking me? No need. So other people talk. That's because that their mouths belong to them. But in your heart mind, if you're respectful toward your ancestors, that would be good. Doesn't matter what others say, because the mouths belong to them. So after a person passes away and they are cremated in the sea, or they have no memorial tablet anywhere, not at home, not at the columbarium, not anywhere, will that bring negative consequences? Not at all. Whether you have the tablet or not, it's nothing. No big deal. After a person dies, in Buddhism, we often say after 49 days they need to be reincarnated. So the tablet has no benefits to them at all. But whether you set up a memorial tablet or not, that's your own intent. You can place the tablet inside your heart mind. Then you have set it up. If you often think of them, then that's the same as setting up the memorial tablet. Right? That should be how it is. Will it bring negative consequences? Their own souls have karma. When they have karma, of course they would be incarnated according to their karma. If they have good karma, they can go to heavens. If they have bad karma, they would be reincarnated in the 6 or the lower 5 realms or the lower 3 realms. And if they're Buddhists, then they can attain Buddhahood, Bodhisattvahood, Dharma protectorhood, Herukas, or the heavenly realms. That's issues about ancestors. So, ancestors are ancestors, but karma has to be burdened by the individuals. So that's why we say that the man practices and gains the merits from his own practice, and the woman gains merits from her own practice. It's all individualistic. Can you understand like this? Issues about ancestors, like I only know my great-grandfather. I don't even know the great-grandmother. Of course I know. Of course she has a name, but I have to check. And also my grandmother, I know. And at the Rainbow Temple, I have the names of grandfather, grandmother, my mother, and my younger brother. So, all 4 at the Twin Lotus Columbarium at the Rainbow Temple. Next, that would be me. Very soon.
我会摆在那里。
I would be set up there too.
师母也会摆在那里。
And also Sumu too.
那小孩子看不看，那是另外一回事。他心
And
里有我们，
whether the children
我们就
come to visit us, it doesn't matter. As long as they have us in their hearts, that would be excellent already.
没有用。
But if you set up something elaborate and beautiful, there's no use.
我们讲笑话吧。历史课的时候，
Now
老
let's
师问
share
小明，
a joke.
面对江
In
山
history
跟
class,
美
the
人，
teacher asked the students, which one would you
小明
choose,
回
the
答
country
江山。
or the beautiful
老师说
lady?
为什么？小明讲，因为有了江
Xiao
山，
Ming said, the
就一
country.
定会有美人。
Why? Because if you have the
但是
country,
有了
you
美
have
人啊，
beauties.
说不定美
But
人
if you
会
have
跟着
beauty,
有江山的人跑。
then the beauty might run away with
老
someone
师说：
that
哎
has
呀，小明啊，
the whole
你
world.
真的很有概念啊。
And the teacher said, Xiao Ming, you're very, very smart.
江山美人，爱哪一个？江山呐、不要
So,
讲啊。
so the world and a beautiful lady, which one would you choose? Of course, the world.
有一位女士对她的女友讲：“是我使我
A
的
lady
丈夫啊，
told another
变
lady,
成了百万富翁。
I make my husband to be a billionaire or millionaire.
那你对丈夫的帮助实在太
And
大。
the woman,
你
the
丈夫
friend
以
said,
前
wow,
是做
you, that's great help. What did he do before?
我
And then
丈
she
夫
said,
以前是亿万富翁，
oh, he was a
终于把他变成
billionaire.
百万富翁。
Now and then I made him into a millionaire.
这差很多。早上没有吃早餐，就赶到办公室。
Without breakfast, I
因为
rushed
美
to
女
the
同
office,
事很热心的，
and a
递给我
female
一盒
coworker was very kind and
伊
gave
利
me
纯牛奶，
a
叫伊利
box
纯牛奶，
of
知道吗？
Ilichun milk. Do you know what kind of milk that is?
他一口气就把它喝完。
And he drank it in one go and felt really warm.
美女
And
很关
then
切地
after
问
work,
你
the
没
beautiful
事吧？
lady checked on him. Are you
我
all
怀疑
okay?
说没事啊。
Nothing. Yeah, I'm
那个
fine.
美女舒了一口气，
And
那
she
就好。原来
sighed
过
a
期的
relief
牛
and
奶
said,
喝了也不会拉肚子。
now I know that an expired milk doesn't cause diarrhea.
心地很好。
Oh, she's kind-hearted.
有一名印度的病人
There's
照
an
X 光，
Indian
显示胸
patient
腔里有一
got
支
an
小
X-ray
枪
and showed there's a
我以为
gun
人家
on
叫
the
我起名
chest.
字，我给他起成
Someone
这
asked
个
me to
罗
name
强
him,
罗强
and I gave the name Lo
罗
Qiang.
呢，他那个姓罗的这个
Someone with the
在
family
这
named
里
Luo,
我不要强入，我说强很好啊，
and
怎么
replied
会
to my letter and said, I don't want that
我
name.
小强，小强是蟑螂。
Because in Taiwanese there is a
我
A little
起
term,
两个字啊，
the
罗
little
强
Qiang
强很
means
好啊
cockroach.
不行。然后这个小孩子长大，人家叫他小强，小就是蟑螂。
So that would sound like a cockroach.
印度的医生啊，叫他
So the Indian doctor asked her to get the surgery to get it out. So this patient went to Singapore ready to get the surgery and got another x-ray and said, "Oh, there is no cockroach inside your chest, but it's inside the x-ray machine of your country." Now we'll talk about Vimalakirti Sutra chapter 10. The Buddha of accumulated fragrances. Then Vimalakirti asked the assembled bodhisattvas, "Venerable ones, who among you can fetch us meals from that Buddha?" Since Manjushri is well known for his supernatural power, they all remained silent. Vimalakirti continued, "Benevolent ones, what a shame this assembly is." Then Manjushri spoke and said, "As the Buddha has said, do not undermine the learned ones, the unlearned ones, those who are unlearned." At this, Vimalakirti, without rising from his seat, manifested a bodhisattva in front of the assembly. The bodhisattva's appearance was magnificent, radiant with light and majestic virtues, surpassing all in the assembly. Okay, let me just cover this passage. So at that time, the lay Buddhist Vimalakirti asked all the bodhisattvas, "Of all of you, who among you can go to the Buddhaverse to fetch meals for all of us?" To the Buddhaverse called accumulation of fragrances, and get some meals for everyone. Since Manjushri is well known for his supernatural power, majestic transcendent power, he was the one that brought everyone, but he did not say anything. So the arhats below him and all the heavenly beings don't dare to say anything. Everyone was silent. So Vimalakirti continued, "Benevolent ones, what a shame. Hey, none of you is able to go to the Buddhaverse of accumulation of fragrances to ask for meals for everybody." And then Manjushri replied, "Sakyamuni Buddha believes that all sentient beings are equal. Whether you're arhats or bodhisattvas or just the general devas, devis, everyone's Buddha nature is equal. Nobody, Sakyamuni Buddha never looked down or undermine on anybody. So you cannot say that. Like you undermine the bodhisattvas at the initial stage or arhats. You should not look down on them." Manjushri Bodhisattva said, "So you cannot look down on anyone, bodhisattvas at the initial stage, arhats, or the novice Buddhists." So at this time, Vimalakirti did not leave his seat bed. As we all know, there were no one attending to Vimalakirti. Only Manjushri Bodhisattva and the assembly he brought with him. So Vimalakirti, without rising, but he himself manifested a manifested Bodhisattva. So Vimalakirti has great transcendent power. So Vimalakirti is still Vimalakirti, but he manifested a Bodhisattva. And this Bodhisattva's appearance was magnificent. Among all the Bodhisattvas, this manifested Bodhisattva has the brightest radiance. That's the meaning of this part. He asks the Bodhisattva to go to the upper realms, traversing Buddha verses as numerous as the grains of sand of 42 Ganges rivers. There is a Buddha verse called omnipresent fragrances, and a Buddha named accumulated fragrances, who was presently dining with all the Bodhisattvas. So Vimalakirti told his own manifestation, Bodhisattva, go to the upper realms, to the Buddha verse of accumulation of fragrances. Passing Buddha verses as numerous as grains of sand of 42 Ganges rivers. The sands of one Ganges river is already countless more, let alone 42 Ganges rivers. Just imagine how far that is. But doesn't matter how far it is, it's just a matter of one thought. It's just within the one thought. So the question earlier, filial piety toward your ancestors, is just in that one thought. If you have that thought that you're respectful toward your ancestors, then you have filial piety. It's all in that mind. With one thought, you can traverse Buddha verses as numerous as grains of sand of 42 Ganges rivers, and you can arrive there instantly. Like the speed of sound, or space shuttles would take a long time before it can traverse the stratospheres to go to the great cosmos, and then you might not be able to come back because the space shuttles are broken. So you see there, two spacemen were only going for 2 days and they could not come back. Now they had to stay there for 8 months, waiting for the shuttles to be fixed. But the Buddhists can arrive there in one thought. And there is a Buddha verse there, or a world there, called Omni Fragrances, Pure Land, and a Buddha named Accumulated Fragrances. And this Buddha presently is dining with all the Bodhisattvas. And who made those meals? They are called the ornament of fragrance celestial princess. The other day, that Vietnamese disciple, what's her name? Yun Ling. Yun Ling. Liên Hoa Yên Linh. She's from the Jupiter School Maryland Temple near Washington, D.C. And she said she's the one that gave me the bento box. So she must be from that, from the place of that ornament of fragrance celestial prince. Because Buddhas and Bodhisattvas don't make their own meals, but the ones who serve them are called the ornament of fragrance celestial princesses. So Vimalakirti told the Bodhisattva, after you go there, say what I will say here. Tell the Buddha of accumulated fragrance. Vimalakirti, with the greatest reverence, bows his head to the feet of the world-honored one, and with innumerable respect sends his regards for your well-being, having peace of mind and free from ailments and discomforts. He wishes to obtain some leftovers from the world-honored one's meal as a present to the Buddha work in the Saha world, to facilitate followers of the small vehicle to obtain and spread the great path. So, to go there, to bow and send regards to them about their well-being, healthy, free from problems and discomforts. And he wishes to obtain some leftovers of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances and bodhisattvas, so that I can bring them back to the Saha world to do Buddha work, to offer to the bodhisattvas there. To facilitate followers of the small Dharma vehicle, like arhats, bodhisattvas in samsara, can spread Buddha Dharma. So this is pretty straightforward, you can understand. And then, in the effort to widely disseminate the name of the Tathagata, so that everyone in the Saha world can hear the name of Sakyamuni Buddha, and also let everyone to hear the name of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances and the Buddha verse of accumulated fragrances. So at that moment, the manifested Bodhisattva rose up before the assembly and immediately disappeared, merges with the sky, and swiftly arrive to the Buddha verse of omni fragrances.
己众借见其气道众相界，离彼佛所有在娑婆世界的佛菩萨。
And all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the Saha world saw him go to the Buddhaverse of omni-fragrances and bow at the feet of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances, as if you're watching a TV. Immediately, you see that from the Saha world, he arrived at the Buddhaverse of omni-fragrances. So all the Bodhisattvas and Arhats saw that as if they are watching television. So let me repeat. And they heard this manifested Bodhisattva say, Vimalakirti, with the greatest reverence, bows his head to the feet of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances, and with innumerable respect sends his regards for your well-being, having peace of mind, free from ailments and discomforts. So that's just polite greetings. Wishes to obtain some leftovers of the world-honored one's meal as a present to the Buddha work in the Saha world, saying the same words here, to facilitate followers of the small Dharma vehicle to obtain and spread the great path in an effort to disseminate the name of the Tathagata. And so at the Buddhaverse of omni-fragrances, there were many bodhisattvas, and they saw how come there's a bodhisattva coming here who spoke these words. That's very rare. And they wanted to get some of those boxes, meal boxes, and they exclaimed, this never happened before, to the calm of the Buddhaverse of omni-fragrances asking for meals. And there's a bodhisattva coming from samsara asking for one. So all those bodhisattvas there said this has never happened before. So where did this manifested bodhisattva, where did this come from, and where is the Saha world? Why did he call himself that he delight in the small Dharma? Why did he say that? And so they asked the Buddha of accumulated fragrances. That's this passage. This is pretty easy, right? You can understand. Then I would talk more about it. What time is it now? It's 10, almost. So the Buddha said, below, having Buddha verses as numerous as grains of sand of 42 Ganges rivers, there is a world called the Saha world. At that time, there was a Buddha living called Sakyamuni Buddha. This was spoken by the Buddha of accumulated fragrances. and is in the 5-turbid world. So Sakyamuni Buddha is in the Saha world. It's very evil and turbid with 5 contaminants. Evil world. It's a really bad place. But for the sake of those who are learning Buddha Dharma, teach and speak Buddha Dharma and teach them Buddha Dharma in the Saha world. So the Saha world is really not good. But Sakyamuni Buddha there is there to teach them the Buddhist path. So this is please don't mistake this. This is not talking about Taoism. And at that place there is a bodhisattva called Vimalakirti. And is already liberated and giving teaching to all bodhisattvas. This bodhisattva is incredible. So over there is also a bodhisattva called Vimalakirti, who's in the past was the Jinsu Tathagata and has attained the inconceivable liberation. And he is speaking Buddha Dharma to all the bodhisattvas now. So that's why he manifested a bodhisattva to come. He manifested into a manifested bodhisattva to come here to praise us. And the Buddha verse. And he called upon my name and also requested all the bodhisattvas to bestow meals so that for the bodhisattvas in the Saha world to increase their merits. So all the bodhisattvas ask, so the Buddha so he praised Vimalakirti that in his past he was the Jinsu Tathagata and now he's from the Akshoba Buddha of the East. In the Saha world, there is a Buddha verse or Pure Land called Abhirati, the marvelous joy. So Vimalakirti, to help of Sakyamuni Buddha, appeared in the Saha world. So he's to help Sakyamuni Buddha. And his transcendent power, his merits, his transcendent travel can go to all the Pure Lands and Buddha verses. So the Buddha of Cumulative Fragrances said that he has great transcendent power and he's continually helping all sentient beings, and he's helping Sakyamuni Buddha and all the sentient beings.
再来是一世香积如来，就是众香净土的香积如来。
So the Tathagata of accumulated fragrances give all the fragrant alms bowls filled with the fragrant rice and give it to this manifested bodhisattva. And then at this time, the 9 million bodhisattvas spoke. So the Buddha filled the alms bowls with fragrant rice for the manifested bodhisattva. And at that time, 9 million bodhisattvas underneath the Buddha of accumulated fragrances all spoke that they're willing to come to the Saha world to make offerings to Sakyamuni Buddha. So one manifested bodhisattva went, and in response, the Buddha of accumulated fragrances and all the bodhisattvas, the 9 million bodhisattvas below him, all came to the Saha world. And they want to meet the Vimalakirti and all the bodhisattvas in the Saha world. And then the Buddha of accumulated fragrances said, okay, let's go together. But you have to pay attention when you go. So retract your fragrances on your body. The 9 million bodhisattvas, all of them are very fragrant, like not unlike people in the Saha world who are very stinky, foul smelling. So if you go there, your fragrance will fume the sentient beings there. So you need to eradicate the fragrance, your fragrances, so you don't exude any fragrance. And also forsake your appearance so that they don't feel self-conscious. So all the 9 million bodhisattvas below the Buddha of accumulated fragrances, they all have a huge appearance, as tall as the tall buildings. And then when they came to the Saha world, the arhats and bodhisattvas are very tiny. Or the heavenly beings are very tiny. So you need to change your form to become like those in the Saha world, so that the people in this country, in the Saha world, don't feel ashamed or self-conscious. So you change yourself to be the size as them and also eliminate their fragrance. So also don't look down upon them. Otherwise, you would have hindrances, or the others would also have hindrances, because all the Buddha verses in the 10 directions are just like emptiness. Buddhists would understand. Because all Buddha verses are manifested and illusory. just like the cosmic space. And also, so all the Buddhas, in order to deliver or transform those with little spiritual roots, so for their sakes, you don't appear so pure. You're just like they are. So what it means here, just to be like them, like the beings in the Saha world. So at this time, the manifested bodhisattvas took the alms bowls, and with the 9 million bodhisattvas, by the power of the transcendent of Vimalakirti, immediately disappeared from that Buddhaverse and instantly arrived at the Vimalakirti's abode. Just with one thought, they have arrived. Why? Because the majestic transcendent power of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances and the power of the merit of Vimalakirti, they could swiftly disappear from the Buddhaverse of omni fragrances and instantly appeared at the room of Vimalakirti. That was very fast. So fast, and I'm reading it so fast too. So at this time, Vimalakirti, all of a sudden have the visit of 9 million bodhisattvas. But in that small room, he could house all of the universe. It could become huge. It can become big or small. That's what transcendent power is about. So he transformed his own room to become huge, humongous. And then he went to the Buddha of Sumeru to bring back 9 million Dharma thrones. But Vimalakirti transformed 9 million lion seats. Like all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas filled his room. His room became bigger. That could house 9 million lion seats, so that the 9 million bodhisattvas have a seat to sit on. So he's truly incredible. We couldn't even manifest one seat, but he could. If you don't believe, then you would say, how could it be possible? 9 million lion seats inside his room, and how big was his room? Think about it. And he could manifest instantly 9 million lion seats, so that the bodhisattvas of the Buddha of accumulated fragrances have seats to sit on. Very magnificent. So all the bodhisattvas sat on them, on the 9 million lion seats. So at this time, the manifested bodhisattva took the fragrant rice to Vimalakirti. The fragrance of the rice fills the Vaisali city and the 3,000 great thousand worlds. So the whole city of Vaisali and the 3,000 great thousand worlds could smell the fragrance. It's really delicious. That's why I drop a few grains on the ground and then a few grains on the box, and I lick them, eat them all. So at that time, the Brahmins at the Vaisali city and the lay practitioners could smell the fragrance and they're filled with joy and bliss like never before. When they smell the fragrance of the rice, they felt very, very, very pleased, like never before. So just the fragrance of the rice is like that. Oh, that's all for today. It's already over 11. So you can understand, right? It's not difficult. Just generally explain it earlier. A lady felt that her face is too big. So she went to the expert and asked, is there a way I can make my face smaller? And the expert said, how about garlics? So the young lady was confused. Oh, so garlics can burn fats and make the metabolism runs better? And no, because with garlics, that people will keep a distance and then your face looks smaller. In college, we have bunk beds. And then one day, there are two brothers who got an idea and said, let's exchange. So the one on top sleep at the bottom and the one at the bottom sleep at the top. They exchanged places on the bunk beds. And the next morning, the one who slept on top had bruises all over because last night, as he was going to the toilet, he forgot that he's on top. So he just stepped out and almost died falling. And then the one sleeping at the bottom bed, I was going to go to the bathroom and I couldn't find the stairs. So he just held his pee until morning. So that's a matter of habit. The girlfriend asked the boyfriend, are you having a cold? And the man said, how do you know? Is it because my voice is hoarse? And the girlfriend said, no.
刚才你抽烟的时候，
because
我
when you
只看到
smoke,
你一个鼻孔在冒烟。
I saw the smoke coming out from only one nostril.
我买了杯米红。
Om Mani Padme Hum.